This case number 581 on the calendar, the matter of Aragon versus Rosado.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Mr. Aragon, Mr. Rosado is your former girlfriend, and you have one child together.
Correct, Judge.
Your lawsuit alleges that Mr. Rosado maliciously filed a restraining order against you, which was dismissed after a hearing, and you want to be compensated for that. Mr. Rosado says that she had not only the right but the responsibility to file for a restraining order, and that the court was mistaken in failing to grant her the restraining order against you. Mr. Rosado, I'm going to start with you because you were the one who filed the restraining order. You and Mr. Aragon separated when?
In June of 2010.
And how old was your daughter at that time?
1.5.
Where were you living in June of 2010?
With Mr. Aragon and his mother.
Where?
In Denver, off of Pierce, 48th and Pierce.
How long did you live with her?
2.5 years at the time.
And when you left Denver, you took your daughter with you?
Yes.
Where did you go?
I was still in Denver, but I went and stayed with my father for a while.
Did Mr. Aragon know your father?
Yes, he did.
How long did you stay with your father?
For about a year, and
Did
then
Mr. Aragon see his daughter during that year?
he did not.
Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Why?
I'm not too sure why. I tried everything in my power to locate Alexandria with legal documents from the court.
Well, you mean you didn't know she was staying with her father?
No, I had no idea where my daughter was at that time for the whole year.
When you left, Miss Rosado, did you tell Mr. Aragon where you were going?
I did not. I didn't want any confrontation at my father's home. I did, however, try to set up one day and have Mr. Aragon meet with our daughter, and
After how long?
maybe 2 or 3 months.
That's a long time for somebody who was living with his daughter since her birth.
Yes.
So why would you do that?
I didn't like the situation we were in, and I was afraid for my daughter. We did not have a good relationship at all. It is the whole reason I left. There was violence between us, constant arguing, and I don't think any child should be brought up in that type of a environment.
Okay. Were the police ever called to?
No, ma'am.
During the time that you were together, did you ever file for a protective order?
No, I
against
did
him?
not.
You did not. So you were arguing and you wanted to leave.
Yes.
And you left and didn't tell him where you were going?
No.
At least for a few months.
Yes.
And then you tried to set up, and how did you try to set up a meeting with Mr. Aragon and his daughter?
I had talked to him on the phone, and I let him know we could meet at a public place, and we did. But when I got there, Mr. Aragon had Serenity in his arms, and he said I could take her from you and no one would do anything.
That's what you did, wasn't it?
No, ma'am.
Yes, it was. Oh, that's exactly what you did. You left your home with your daughter, and you didn't tell him where you were going. He's a parent just like you are. I want you to process that. That's what I'm telling you. In 2010, that's exactly what you did. The two of you were living together, and had been living together for 2.5 years. You were arguing. I think you're absolutely right that it's better for a child not to be brought up in a home where there's confrontation. I think you're absolutely right. But I think that there's an orderly way to do that. And the orderly way to do that is not to disappear and go underground so that you're in charge of his daughter. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. So that we understand each other. That's where I'm coming from. It's a neutral playing field. A mother has no more rights than a father. A child has two parents. Okay. So at some point, then he took the child and said I could disappear with her and nobody would know. So that frightened you.
Yes.
Well, I would understand what frightened you, just like it frightened him when he couldn't locate his daughter. So what did you do?
We left at that point.
You left. And Mr. Aragon, when was the next time you saw your daughter?
Your Honor, after that, I didn't see my daughter anymore. I tried to be reasonable with Alexandria. I had no luck with that whatsoever.
What did you do, communicate by the phone?
Yes, I tried to call her on her cell phone. Yes.
When did you finally locate her?
It took me a whole year to find her. It was, I believe, in 2012, I think, when I had got joint custody.
2012?
Yes, I believe so.
And at that time, Ms. Rosado, you had a hearing?
Yes.
In what city and state?
Jefferson County of Colorado?
And where were you living at the time? In Jefferson County?
Yes.
And where were you living?
Denver, Colorado, 45.
Is that far from where she was living?
Yes.
So you had a hearing, and after a hearing, you told the judge your side of the story. He told the judge, I'm sure, conducted an investigation. Did the child have a lawyer?
She was appointed.
A law guardian.
Yeah.
And the judge issued an order. And what kind of an order did the judge issue in 2012, Ms. Rosado?
We went into mediation and we agreed upon a parenting plan.
And what was that parenting plan?
That Mr. Aragon got serenity from Friday at 3 until Monday at 3.
And how did that work out?
It worked really well.
Until when?
Until almost a year ago.
So from 2012 to 2016.
Yes.
And what happened in 2016?
Mr. Aragon wanted serenity for more of the school time during the weekday.
Did he go back to court?
We went back into mediation.
And what happened in mediation?
We just changed our days around from Friday to Monday to Thursday till Sunday.
And when did that start?
In June of 2016, I believe.
Did it start in June of 2016, Mr. Aragon, that you saw your daughter from Thursday to Sunday?
Yes.
For how long?
Wait, I'm sorry, Your Honor. What do you?
Did you see your child June, July, August, September?
Yes, I see her all those months.
When did that change?
Well, it started to change maybe like a year into our parenting plan.
Well, this is June 2016. It couldn't have been a year. When did that change, Ms. Rosado?
January 2017.
And what happened in January of 2017?
Serenity had come home from Mr. Aragon's home, and she was telling me that she hadn't eaten all day.
What time did she come home on Sunday?
6 p.m. So it wasn't like an early morning thing where understandable she hadn't eaten yet. It was an all-day thing. And when I asked her why not, she said Mr. Aragon and his girlfriend were fighting all day. And I asked why she didn't eat still, and she said they didn't feed her.
How old is your daughter?
She is 8 years old.
Did you call Mr. Aragon?
I did not, ma'am.
Why not?
I figured it would be a big confrontation between us. Me and Mr. Aragon do not communicate well at all.
Okay. Well, did you go back to the family court?
I did. I tried and...
Just a second. So your daughter comes home at 6 o'clock on Sunday.
Yes.
And tells you she hadn't eaten all day. And then you went to the family court to try to get the order modified?
Yes, ma'am.
On what date did you do that?
I tried all week, but the day was Wednesday the 11th, I believe, when I finally went back into the courtroom for the restraining order.
No. We're not talking about restraining order. We're talking about going back to family court and seeking to modify the custody order.
Yes, ma'am.
To change it and to have a hearing about it.
And that did not happen.
Why not?
I had figured out no way in order to modify the parenting plan that we had in order.
What do you mean you found no way? I don't understand that. What you're saying is he neglected his child on Sunday and didn't feed her all day. That, if it's true, would have been grounds for a judge to hear a modification of the parenting order. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
You did not do that.
Correct.
Instead, you chose to file a protective order against him.
Yes.
So that when he went to pick up his daughter on Thursday from school, they said you can't take her because there's a restraining order against you. That's what happened, and that's why we're here. By the way, when the child came home on Sunday at 6 p.m., that was the time that the child should have been home, 6 o'clock?
Yes.
So we brought her home on time.
Yes, ma'am.
And I assume you did not take her to a hospital, a doctor on Sunday or Monday or Tuesday, otherwise
No.
you would have records of that, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so there was nothing wrong with her
No.
that would cause you to go to a doctor.
No, ma'am.
So I'm still confused as to why you didn't seek, since you two of you can't communicate, why you didn't go back into Jefferson County where you were and say, I want to reopen this issue of custody because I don't think that he's taking adequate care of my daughter.
Yes, ma'am. Well,
Why didn't you do that?
I tried, and
what
there
happened?
was no way for me to.
What do you mean there was
And
no way? I
the-
don't understand. I don't understand there was no way for you. The same way there was for Mr. Aragon to go in to try to get custody of his daughter. That's the same way you go in.
Yeah, the route he went was to call child services on me.
So let me ask you this question. If the route he went, because you had actually taken his child away from him,
Yes.
like you were concerned that he was going to do to you, he called Child Protective. Why didn't you call Child Protective Services and say, this is what my daughter is telling me, and I'd like you to look into it? Why didn't you do that?
I didn't want to go that route. And
It was easier to go the route of getting a protective order without anybody interviewing the child, because when you went in for a protective order, nobody interviewed the child, right?
No.
No, they just took you at the face of what you were saying, that he didn't feed her all day, and she came home hungry.
Yes.
Right. Now I'd like to see what you filed against him. And then we're going to find out when you went back to court ultimately, so he didn't have visitation with his child, or his custody time with his child, and you went to court and you had a hearing for a judge,
Yes,
correct? And I assume you told the judge the same thing that you're telling me.
Yes.
And did the child testify?
No, they would not hear
Just a
her.
second. The child didn't testify. So the judge listened to you, and I assume you testified, Mr. Aragon, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And the judge dismissed your case.
Yes.
Well, let me tell you what you write here. The allegation is physical assault, threat, or other situation. This is the story that you tell. Serenity came home and began to tell me that she had not eaten all day because Ronald and his girlfriends were fighting all day, so she was really hungry. Then you go on to say, Serenity began to tell me that her dad, Ronald, and his girlfriend were fighting and punching each other in the face, so she was concerned about her sister because she didn't want her to get hit. This was at our father Ronald's home in front of Serenity, our daughter, and his daughter. You didn't tell me that. You told me only about hungry.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Judge Judy continues.
Why haven't you been seeing your daughter from Thursday to Sunday?
She
All the way to California for the inspiration for our newest burger. No, man.